I feel like you could make a case that Kevin Durant's the second best small forward of all time, but for this one, I'm choosing Larry Bird. Welcome to episode 18 of Everything Sports with Aman. I am your host, Aman Karni, and I talk about the hottest topics in sports over the course of the past week. And today, I'm going to talk about the Falcons reportedly trying to trade Julio Jones. And then the rest of the episode will just be about basketball, the NBA play-in, and then Fantasy Minute will be baseball, and then the NBA awards, my predictions for that, and rounded out the top five best small forwards of all time. So now we have Julio Jones reportedly being stopped around the league, and that could honestly ruin the Falcons' chances because if you wanted to rebuild or move on from Matt Ryan, then you would have drafted a quarterback. But instead, you drafted Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts is a really great tight end. And so now you combine that with Julio Jones, you can still compete for a couple of years with that Ryan instead of starting to rebuild immediately. And it was reported that since the NFL draft, they were already taking calls for Julio Jones. But at that point, it wasn't as big as it is right now. And the scary thing is, Derrick Henry is trying to get Julio to Tennessee. So now players are getting in on the action and wanting others to come to their team. It's the value Julio Jones holds. Imagine if the Titans do this and don't have to give up AJ Brown. You have him, you have Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and a pretty good defense. You might talk about them going to the Super Bowl. Or if the Texans want to try and convince Deshaun Watson to stay, this might be the move. And if the Packers can somehow pull it off, that'll convince Rodgers to stay. You would just need to extend his contract situation. And obviously, I'm just thinking of teams off the top of my head. I don't know anyone's cap space situation, but as of now, I'd say Julio really fits on the Niners. I don't know who he'd give up or who they give up for him, but if the Niners get him, you'll have a great veteran wide receiver to help Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk grow, and still a star receiver. Julio Jones is easily one of the best receivers in NFL history. That is my opinion on him. One of the best receivers. When you got guys like Jay Rice, Dwight Clark, so many others I can't name, but if you still get him and these young receivers grow with Trey Lance, Niners might be talking about, well, they're still talking about Super Bowl, but for the next years to come, they're going to be a constant favorite with Julio Jones. And with that, we will move on to our next topic, which is NBA play-in games. And today, as I'm recording this, it is the morning of the Warriors Grizzlies play-in game. So for the Eastern Conference play-in game, or play-in tournament, rather, that was very boring to watch. Because see what I mean? Like the Hornets Pacers, there was no competitiveness in that. The Pacers completely blew the Hornets out of the water and then moved on to the next round. And then you got Celtics blowing the Wizards out of the water. Yes, Tatum dropped 50, but it was competitive for like half a game. But then you come to the West where you see the Spurs only losing by 4 points against the Memphis Grizzlies, the Warriors losing by 3 points against the Lakers. And now let's see what's going to happen today. And so I'm not really going to talk about the Eastern Conference playing games other than the fact that if Tatum constantly has these great games and the Nets continue to suck, the Nets could be in trouble. But then on the Western side, I thought for a second the Grizzlies were going to get eliminated. I did not think they would get eliminated, first of all, but they were so close to. They certainly dodged a bullet. Jonas Valanciunas, by the way, what a career year he is having. I believe he got 23 points and 21 rebounds when his team was facing elimination. Then we went to the Warriors versus the Lakers, and I'm not going to be biased, even though I am a Warriors fan. You can see the amount of times that the Lakers flopped, and this is the turning point when Wesley Matthews flopped on that screen, called a moving screen, just because LeBron will start bullying the refs, and then that led to LeBron's lucky shot. I don't care if you think it's skill. I know he's an all-time great, and all-time greats do that, but that is completely luck. Any player who shoots that and makes that is completely luck, unless your name is Damian Lillard or Stephen Curry. Otherwise, it's not luck. This one is. And also, when LeBron had that blocking foul on Juan Toscano Anderson, that was called a charging foul. And then that caused the Warriors to challenge it when it was so obvious that it wasn't a charging foul and it was a blocking foul because LeBron clearly moved and jumped into Juan Toscano Anderson. If the Warriors had that challenge, they could have challenged the Wesley Matthews moving screenplay and erased that lucky shot, because that lucky shot came from that legal screen. It was a legal screen. Everyone knows that that was a fair screen set by Draymond, and Wesley Matthews continued to flop. Even earlier in the season, when the Warriors were in the Staples Center, you saw Schroeder try to draw that charging foul, just flopped worse than Marcus Smart. And then you can see the Lakers head coach and the Lakers players furious at the refs for not calling it a flop. This is what the Lakers do to these referees, guys. They write letters to the office to make them get an advantage. Like, what's going on here? But anyways, I fully believe that the Warriors will beat the Grizzlies. And it might be a close one again, because that's what you get with the Western Conference. And when you got a Grizzlies team that is motivated and hungry because of last year and losing to the Warriors because Dylan Brooks got fouled out, versus a Warriors team who feel like they should have won the last game, so they're going to take out their anger on a hungry team, might be a great game, guys. But Stephen Curry, I'll talk about him in my NBA awards predictions. But now, Fantasy Minute, where I talk about the 5 players you should add on your fantasy baseball team to either rise in the standings or stay on the top in your league. So without further ado, let's get started. So first we got Tyler Rogers, who's a relief pitcher for San Francisco Giants, 44% rostered. And each week when you listen to my episodes and you hear Giants players, it's because they have been doing really well this season and players are emerging from the roster. TJ Antone, starting pitcher, relief pitcher for Cincinnati, 38% rostered. He is looking like a great pitcher that fantasy players should add. Jonathan Villar was on here, but he did get injured due to a fastball. Logan Webb, starting pitcher, San Francisco Giants, 16% rostered. his ERA is being lowered over the course of each game, which is good. So Nico Horner, second baseman, third baseman, shortstop for Chicago. He's 33% rostered, and he missed some days because of a collision with his teammate, but once he's back up, he's going to be there. Josh Peterson, first baseman, outfielders for Chicago as well, 24%. He is doing, he's going to be doing pretty well, I feel like. He's going to do well for Chicago when he comes back fully healthy. Not when he comes back fully healthy. He's going to get into his groove. I just know it. So now we got our NBA award predictions. My predictions. We'll start with NBA Coach of the Year. We have the nominees Tom Thibodeau, Monty Williams, and Quinn Snyder. I hope Tom Thibodeau wins, but I can understand Monty Williams because of the Phoenix Suns. I say Tom Thibodeau because you look at the Knicks' recent history, right? You have to look at the New York Knicks' recent history to vote for the Coach of the Year, I feel like, because they added Chris Paul. Monty Williams was already their coach, and you add Chris Paul, and then they become great, right? Then they become great. And so I feel like that's why Monty Williams shouldn't be the Coach of the Year, but I feel like Tom Thibodeau should be, so I'm picking Tom Thibodeau. NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson just broke out for the Utah Jazz this year, so I'm not going to go too in-depth for that. NBA Most Improved, again, like Julius Randle. If he doesn't win Most Improved, then I don't know who voted for the prediction, but clearly they're completely wrong if Julius Randle does not win this. And so we got NBA Rookie of the Year between Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, and LaMelo Ball. I think it's between Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. My prediction is Anthony Edwards. Both of them missed some time. Tyrese Halliburton missed. James Wiseman even got injured. So many of these rookies missed some time due to injury, but I feel like LaMelo Ball will win it, but my prediction is Anthony Edwards. Defensive Player of the Year. I know Bam should have gotten the nod. I actually feel like he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, and Ben Simmons. Gobert's defense can be exploited so much by like guards and stuff like that. Like he just fell apart on that last play against Minnesota. I feel like that play, if you're being considered for a Defensive Player of the Year, that play itself shouldn't make you Defensive Player of the Year. But then I think Draymond plays better defense than Ben Simmons, so my prediction is Draymond Green. And now the MVP, you got Stephen Curry, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. So now, if you were to say a couple months ago who the MVP was, it would be Jokic or Embiid. And now, Curry exploded, and he is exploding. NBA season ain't over yet. I firmly believe the Warriors will beat the Grizzlies tonight solely due to Stephen Curry's performance. Because of Stephen Curry, the Warriors will beat the Grizzlies, and that would make Stephen Curry the MVP. That is my prediction. Curry will be MVP because now players are advocating for him, and more media members have said that they voted for Stephen Curry for MVP. And now I kind of get why he's not MVP, but he very well should be MVP. But I get it because MVP is the best season and not the best couple months. And Curry had the 62 point performance, and considering what he's gone through, people saying that he can't carry a team, and Us Warriors fans knew that that wasn't the case because if you hadn't forgotten, before KD came, he won those two MVPs with the same Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Curry didn't have Klay Thompson. And now we go to the top five small forwards and the top five small forwards of all time. So now, number one, there's no secret. You got LeBron James is being he's being considered as the greatest of all time by some people. It's obviously Michael Jordan first, and then LeBron second. And then number two, I feel like you could make a case that Kevin Durant's the second best small forward of all time, but for this one, I'm choosing Larry Bird. Larry Bird, just because of that Larry Bird Magic Johnson rivalry, and Larry Bird was considered one of the best shooters in NBA history until Stephen Curry came and took that crown. Bird's got three championships to show for it. He's a three-time MVP, two-time NBA Finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA selection, three-time All-Defensive selection, and Rookie of the Year in the 79-1980 season. And then number three, I will put Kevin Durant. And I put Kevin Durant because he won two NBA championships, but that's because he came to Golden State. I believe he would have zero NBA championships if he didn't come to Golden State. But he's a one-time MVP. He's a six-time, or not six-time All-Star, but an MVP. He's like I believe 9 or 10-time All-Star, and he's gotten Rookie of the Year and a handful of times NBA scoring titles. And now you can make you could also make a case that Durant's better than Irving, and that's what I went with. Julius Irving is number four. He won the MVP in 80 to 81, 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA selection, and obviously a Hall of Famer. And he's won one championship in 1983 with the Philadelphia 76ers. And Dr. J, he's considered the father of the modern NBA because of the way he played. This is tricky because you have Elgin Baylor or Scotty Pippen. I'm going to go with Scotty Pippen because for Michael Jordan, he was the perfect piece right next to Michael Jordan. He won 6 championships with Michael Jordan. He's a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA selection, 10-time All-Defensive Team selection, and obviously a Hall of Famer. He was one of the best defenders in the league when he played. His career stats are like 16 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, and 2 steals per game. That is definitely a defensive player for you, and he's a perfect complementary piece next to Jordan. But if you chose Elgin Baylor over Scottie Pippen, then I can understand. And with that, thanks for tuning in to episode 18. Make sure you tune in to episode 19 next week, where I will talk about the top 5 power forwards in NBA history. Thanks for listening. See you next week.